Yo, what is up guys, Gray here, and today we are back with our week 10 battle of the BBR. We're going to engage CBAD and his Detroit Stillwings. He's doing really well this season, he's got a super scary team, but before we get into the team builder, make sure to check out his channel. If you haven't come from his channel, of course, like I'm sure most of you probably have, but if you haven't, if you've been living under a rock, then make sure to go check out his channel down in the description below, as well as all the other coaches in the BBR. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. But without further ado, let's get into the team builder. So, first up, his team is Diggersby, Haxorus, Mandibuzz, Alolan Ninetales, Tangrowth, Salazzle, Coalossal, Jolteon, Alolan Sandslash, and Dusclops. And looking at his team, he has some big threats. The Diggersby and Haxorus stand out as the real big problems for my team. I can sort of deal with them with my defensive checks, but they certainly have a very easy way of breaking through them. Diggersby, I have very little, if anything at all, that can actually take 2 hits from a Choice Band Adamant variant. Haxorus, if it sets up, could be a real big problem as well. And his defensive core of Mandibuzz, Tangrowth, Coalossal, really good against my team. Ninetales is surprisingly a massive problem. I have very little to switch into it, so that could be a problem, as well as the Aurora Veil, of course, that is always a problem. Salazzle, I don't think has the greatest matchup against me, but if it does turn up, then we need to be prepared for that. Jolteon is an electric type, and if you aren't aware of my team, I do not have a ground type, as I have low battery. And yeah, I don't have ground type, so Jolteon is definitely coming. Probably going to be choice specs, and it's going to be a struggle for my team to deal with, though we do have 1 or 2 things that can potentially deal with it. Alolan Sandslash, kind of scary in the hail. I wouldn't say snow, very scary in the hail. Skarmory has a lot to check in this game, I feel. So if that gets weakened, then Sandslash could be a problem, but I think we're pretty well prepared for it. And then he's got a Dusclops. I don't think Dusclops turns up to this game. I think it just kind of is too passive, and I don't really feel like it does enough to my team. It doesn't really have much longevity against my team, so I don't think Dusclops is coming. But if I was to hazard a guess, I would say the 6, probably Diggersby, Haxorus, Alolan Ninetales, Coalossal, Jolteon, I think are all definite. And then, like, Mandibuzz, Tangrowth, or Alolan Sandslash. I don't remember which ones I said, actually. But yeah, they're the ones I think may be turning up. I definitely don't see the Salazzle or the Dusclops. I think Sandslash might be... like, it's possible, but I don't think it's going to turn up. I think he's going to rely on Diggersby and Haxorus to break through my defensive core. And then I can definitely see like Ninetales being potentially specs to be able to KO my Skarmory. We'll be doing a ton of damage to Goodra. It just does a ton of damage to my entire team, pretty much. But without... what am I going to say? I always say without further ado. It's some weird saying that I constantly keep saying regardless. And I think I've already said it once in this video, so I'm not going to say it again. I promise. No promises. But yeah, let's get into our team. First up, yes, that is a Carkol on your screen. We'll bring in Tokyo Drifting, the Carkol, with Fire Blast, Scorching Sand, Spike, and Rapid Spin. This thing is surprisingly decent in this matchup, in the sense that it is my best switch into Alolan Ninetales. It switches in relatively well to Salazzle as well. Sure, it can be toxic. If it's a sub-toxic set, then we do have the Scorching Sands to at least break the sub, but it's going to be able to wear away at us. It can occasionally switch into Jolteon, depending on the Coalossal set. It might be able to switch into that as well. I do not believe for a second that he thinks that Carkol is turning up. So I think that might work in our favour, in that he probably won't run something like Scorching Sands on Coalossal. He may not run... what other moves could he have? Like Earthquake on Tangrowth, potentially. Like Earthquake really doesn't have any other place in this game other than to kill Carkol. So potentially we can use this as a check to Tangrowth as well. Mandibuzz realistically cannot do much to me, again, unless it has Toxic. So Carkol is something of a decent pivot in this game. We're holding an Eviolite. It was back and forth between Eviolite and Boots on this, but I felt like I needed the extra bolt to be able to take the hits from Ninetales and Jolteon better. Fire Blast hits a lot of his team. The things it doesn't hit are things like the Haxorus, and it doesn't hit the... actually, no, you know, it hits pretty much everything else. It doesn't hit the Haxorus, doesn't hit Salazzle and Coalossal. Salazzle and Coalossal are both 4 times weak to Scorching Sands, and Haxorus has a chance to get burned, so I feel like that's my best combination of offensive moves. Spikes are really strong against his team. If it brings a Mandibuzz, then it's a bit unfortunate, but we can deal with the Mandibuzz, then spikes are pretty much free against his team. His other removal being Coalossal, I don't think he's going to want to run Rapid Spin, but you never know. We are running Rapid Spin as well, just to be able to clear any hazards. He does have Coalossal on his team that can drop Stealth Rock and Spikes. Sand Slash can drop Spikes. So I just want to make sure, I mean, even Diggersby can run Spikes, but if he's running Spikes, then he's not running something to hit something else, or he's not running U-Turn or Quick Attack, something like that. So yeah, if he Spikes Diggersby, that's like best case scenario for us. But there's a lot of hazards on his side that I really don't want to be dealing with. My offensive threats, none of them are wearing boots this week, so yeah, definitely don't want the hazards on my side of the field. Next up, we have got our Weavile with Ice Shard, Triple Axle, Metal Claw, and Low Kick, with the protective pads, specifically to not get burned by the Coalossal. I feel like it's a very obvious switch in. It deals pretty well with my Weavile, especially if I get burned. So to avoid that potential chance of getting burned, and potential Rocky Helmet on it as well, he has like 3 good Rocky Helmet users in Mandibuzz, Tangrowth, and Coalossal. So I feel like just protecting myself from any potential damage that we don't have to take, especially if we aren't able to clear the rocks, it's going to be the best case scenario. Ice Shard is great for priority, picks off things like the Diggersby and the Haxorus they try and set up. It can do a good chunk as well to things like Mandibuzz and Tangrowth. If for whatever reason like we get paralyzed or something like that and we're slower, I don't think we'll be slower than Tangrowth, but we might be slower than Mandibuzz, for example. So it's just there as a backup sort of move. Triple Axle, he has 1 switch in, being Coalossal. Really, like, you could switch into Sand Slash, that also is a switch into it, but then it doesn't take the Low Kick. Even if it's Choppleberry, I don't think it takes a Low Kick. So yeah, he basically has 1 switch in, being Coalossal. So Triple Axle is pretty spammable in this game. Metal Claw, Oko's Alolan Ninetales, depending on its bulk, but I think it should be able to Oko it, and we are running enough speed to speed creep a Alolan Ninetales without a Choice Scarf. We aren't too worried about Salazzle, firstly because I don't think it's turning up, but also we have good checks to it, and I can always switch it in. So I'm not really massively worried about the Salazzle. And then we have Low Kick, because it does 50%, I believe, to a Coalossal if it's defensive. I could be wrong on that, so we would have to predict a switch into the Coalossal and click Low Kick. But really, we just want to be clicking Triple Axle over and over, because it's just going to be doing a ton of damage to his team. And before Diggersby or Haxorus is set up, we should be able to outspeed and Triple Axle him. Next up, we have got our Keldeo with Surf, Flip Turn, Aura Sphere, and Icy Wind. We are Choice Scarf this week, because Choice Scarf puts in a ton of work. 2 mons that realistically can switch in just fine to it: Spadef Mandibuzz and AV Tangrowth. Other than that, his team just gets battered by this thing. So we're running Icy Wind to deal with potential Haxorus. If we are, if he's at +1, then we can Icy Wind, and I think it does about 40%, but more importantly, it puts the speed back down and we can come back in with Weavile and just pick it off. I think Icy Wind in fact puts it in range of Weavile's Ice Shard, depending on his bulk. Same with Diggersby, we can, if we want to, run Icy Wind or click Icy Wind against it, but probably going to be clicking Surf. Tangrowth is a very obvious switch in, and Mandibuzz is like the only other one, and both of those are affected by Icy Wind, or super effective from Icy Wind, I should say. So it's a really nice kind of catch-all. Other than that, Aura Sphere just kind of runs through his entire team. He does not have a fighting resist outside of Dusclops, and that's great for me, because he's probably not bringing Dusclops into this game. And if he does, then we just keep clicking Flip Turn and we get our Weavile in. If he goes out to Tangrowth, we get Weavile in. If it goes to Mandibuzz, we get Weavile in. Starting to see a common theme here, that really our Keldeo is a fantastic pivot, but it can also be a massive threat if the right things go down. I don't really need to explain the rest of the moves. I feel like it pretty much hits everything for super effective or neutral damage, and the things it hits neutrally pretty much all get 2-hit KO'd outside of like the specially defensive Mandibuzz and Tangrowth, like I said. Next up, we've got our Goodra. The Dragon Pulse, Sludge Bomb, Rain Dance, and Rest Hydration as its ability. This is kind of a check to an extent to Ninetales. If it's not a Choice Specs variant or any kind of boosting item, it will not be able to 2-hit KO me, I believe, unless it's modest. I think Blizzard has a role then. And if that's the case, then we can set a Rain Dance and we can then rest. He would have to risk potentially missing the Blizzard afterwards. And we'd be in a really great place, because once we set Rain Dance up, we can rest and we can wake up again, be back at full. And it does not want to take a Sludge Bomb by any means. Not to mention Gudra has just a fantastic offensive matchup as well. Dragon Pulse plus Sludge Bomb really hits his entire team outside of the Alolan Sand Slash. I guess, like, my bad. A specially defensive Mandibuzz is probably going to have no problem dealing with this, but then risks the Sludge Bomb poison. Tangrowth, again, if it's AV, he's got to take a Sludge Bomb. There's not a whole lot of things that want to switch into this Gudra on his team, and if we can eliminate things like the potential Alolan Sand Slash, any Spadef, Mandibuzzes, or Tangrowths around, then Gudra really just gets click buttons and has a great time. I believe this is something like 8-hit KO'd by Volt Switch from Hyper Voice, in fact, from Jolteon, if it's specs, which is kind of nuts. It just doesn't care at all. We pretty much recover any Volt Switch damage to an extent, like slight hyperbole, but you know. So yeah, Gudra is just a fantastic special check. It checks a Salazzle. It will check a Tangrowth outside of like a mixed one, I guess, with like knock. I honestly, it just checks any Tangrowth. I don't think there's any Tangrowth that can break down this set outside of maybe like SD. If he's wild enough to bring in an SD set, that could probably break you. Mandibuzz, I don't care really. If it toxics me, that's fine. If it knocks me off, that's fine. Yeah, Gudra's just really kind of good all round. The only things it doesn't deal with is his really offensive mons, Diggersby and Haxorus, and Alolan Sand Slash. So, but for them, we have got Phil the Skarmory with Body Press, Toxic, Stealth Rock, and Roost. This set pretty much checks like all of his physical mons to an extent. The issue is that it's going to be taking so much like damage throughout the game. I've got to keep roosting and keep roosting, so I'm probably going to lose a lot of momentum if I'm in with my Skarmory, but at the same time, it's the only thing that really switches into a Diggersby. Thunder Punch, if it's Adamant Choice Band, will still 2-hit KO me, so that's not really much of an option. If Jolteon keeps coming in on it, it's a bit annoying, but at the same time, as long as he doesn't have hazards up, it's really not the end of the world. Mandibuzz does not want to be toxic, and it cannot do anything to me, so I can always get a free toxic off on it. Same with Tangrowth. Lone Ninetales can be scary, but at the same time, I do take... I won't be OHKO'd by specs Blizzard, if I remember rightly. It does a lot of damage though, I don't want to necessarily take that damage, so that's why Carkol's there. Salazzle and Coalossal are going to just be able to beat this. They're fire types, what do you want me to say? Jolteon obviously beats this, but it also checks the Alolan Sand Slash just fine, and Body Press really just does the most damage to the things it's meant to be checking, like the Diggersby, the Alolan Sand Slash, the Haxorus, and it can do a reasonable chunk. Like I said earlier, fighting is kind of unresisted on his team, unless he brings a Dusclops, in which case, again, I toxic. So I think Phil's got a pretty good matchup, but it's going to be having to deal with a lot of hits. And I actually genned 2 Mons for this last spot, and I'm going back and forth between bringing Sharply Vileplume and Saucy or Bombi. Both have very different niches in this game. I'm leaning more towards Vileplume just because, like, as I'm talking and saying about Skarmory and how it's got to take a lot of hits, I think I'd much rather have Vileplume just to be able to continually take physical hits. It actually doesn't die to a +2 Outrage, I want to say, from Haxorus, which that doesn't sound right saying it out loud. Like, I think it had to be Jolly, and it would have, like, I don't know. I'm pretty sure it doesn't get OHKO'd by +2 Outrage, but it's going to be cutting it fine. Strength Sap then can make sure that I always beat it 1v1. Unless it's SD, of course, then I don't beat that one-on-one. Outside of that, it's another switch into Diggersby if I have to potentially take a Fire Punch. Like, Fire Punch seems likely against my team, so I'm not going to have to make predictions around a Diggersby regardless, but it does give me 1 extra mon. Potential for Effect Spore as well could be really nice in this match. Especially, I'm not sure if Scale Shot actually hits or not, whether it makes contact, but Haxorus with Scale Shot could potentially give him like a 1 in 5 chance to be statused. Diggersby, of course, that'd be great if it gets statused. Things like the Alolan Sand Slash, if we can put him to sleep, great. But yeah, I'm just feeling like Vileplume is probably like a safe middle ground to a lot of his team. Like, you can switch into Tangrowth just fine. It can deal with a physical Coalossal. Weirdly enough, like, we can just Strength Sap it, and then if it's physical with Heat Crash, it's not going to be able to do enough to 2-hit KO us. It's also a switch into Jolteon as well, if I wanted to switch into something that's not Goodra, because one thing I fear is that Goodra is going to constantly bring in Haxorus, and that puts us in a really bad position, so that's why I'm leaning more towards Vileplume. Rabombi has a great offensive matchup after a Quiver Dance, and if Alolan Sandslash doesn't turn up, and Salazzle doesn't turn up, and Coalossal's dead, so, 3 pretty major things, but after a Quiver Dance, this just wins, pretty much. There's very few things on his team that can take a +1 Moonblast. We have got the Psychic for the Salazzle, and I guess for the Coalossal as well. Coalossal is more likely to be physically defensive, so maybe Psychic does like 30 to 40%. Outside of that, like the Alolan Sandslash is resisting both hits. It probably still takes about 50% from a Moonblast, to be honest. But we also have Toxic, because it seems fairly obvious that Coalossal is his switch-in. Unless he's running Salazzle, in which case we would Psychic instead of clicking Toxic. But Coalossal really would just be a switch-in, and we can weaken that with Toxic, that would be great. But honestly, I'm very much leaning towards Vileplume right now, just as a second defensive check. But we'll find out, I guess, when we get into the game. I will make a decision before we face off against Chase. And yeah, hopefully we can pick out a win. I know Chase is going like 7-2, and we're sat here on 4-5. But we aren't actually that far from the playoffs. Win would put us into playoff contention for sure. And yeah, then we just have to win like another 2 games after that, and we'll be good. But we'll see. Like, I'm not necessarily going to this game expecting a win by any means, but I think we're definitely going to have to play like our best game to be able to pick up a win. And yeah, without rambling on too much, I will see you guys in the battle in a minute. Okay, so here we are with the battle. I made a decision in the end to go with Vileplume over Rabombi. I just think it's got a bit of a better matchup. I don't know, I probably got over it in the team builder. I haven't actually recorded it yet. I'm going to do it after. But yeah, basically I was choosing between Rabombi and Vileplume, and I decided to go with Vileplume. So let's get into this. I'm expecting to see Ninetales, Haxorus, Diggersby, Tangrowth, Jolteon for sure, and then it's either Coalossal or Mandibuzz. If I had to make a guess, that's going to be his team. But we'll see. I'm sure he's probably just doing his intro. I know he does a relatively long intro, so we could be sitting here for a little while, but we really need to win this game. Effectively, to have any chance of getting into playoffs, we need to make sure we win this. And it's not going to be easy. His team is super threatening. He's doing really well this season as well. I think he's 7-2 going into this game, which is kind of nuts. We are 4-5, but with a terrible differential. We're actually at the same. Like the edge of playoffs is also 4-5, but their differential is like +1. So I don't think there's any way of us actually catching up in terms of differential. We just got to win out and hope for the best. So we're going to see no Diggersby. That's kind of nice. Does bring the Alolan Sandslash, does bring Coalossal and Mandibuzz, no Tangrowth. So he doesn't deal particularly well at all with my Keldeo, which is super nice for me. I'm tempted to lead off with my Weavile. What set did I go for? I did go with Metal Claw in the end. Tempted to lead off Weavile. If it leads off with Jolteon, does that put us in a real bad position? It's not the greatest. But we do have our switch-ins to it. We've got the Carkol versus Coalossal matchup, which is kind of cool. I'm just going to lead off with my Weavile, because if it leads off with the Alolan Ninetales, then we guarantee live a Choice Scarf Timid Moonblast. There's always a chance that if he's modest, then that could be a problem, but we do have our Keldeo, which I believe I EV to outspeed the Alolan Sandslash in the Hail. I don't think it can do a whole lot to me unless it gets up to +2. But we do have our Skarmory as well, which should be able to do a reasonable, I say a reasonable job, like it could get out of hand potentially, but we do have Carkol as well in the back. As long as he doesn't have Earthquake, then we should be able to deal with that. But good luck, have fun to my opponent. Let's hope for no hacks. I said this to him, I said it in so many games, and then the hacks has happened. But he's going to lead off with that, which is the Coalossal. That was like the worst possible lead you could have asked for, but it is what it is. We have quite a few switch-ins to this thing. I think actually gonna go straight into my Carkol, I think. This is like my one check to a load of Ninetales, so I don't particularly want it to be worn down. I could just go into... I'm gonna go hard into my Keldeo, because I'm expecting maybe a Stealth Rock, potentially a Rock or Fire type move. I could go for a Will-O-Wisp as well. I guess for a Heat Crash, this shouldn't do too much. Yeah, that doesn't do much at all. And honestly, we're pretty free, I think, to fire off a Surf. There is nothing on his team that wants to take the Surf, particularly. Could also go for a Flip Turn. I think maybe clicking Surf is just the best play. Like, if it goes Haxorus, I just go straight out into... This is going to be special defensive, just from the way he's brought it in. There's honestly not a lot this can... Yeah, that's Brace for death. There's not a lot he can do to my Skarmory, and I can just Toxic anything on his team apart from the Sand Slash, which I don't think is going to come in without the Hail, so that'd be really nice to get a Toxic off. Probably on a Coalossal we'll get that Toxic, so... It's unfortunate. I was thinking about leading the Keldeo. That would put us in a much better position because we could just click Flip Turn, but it is what it is. Probably going to see whether or not this has Brave Bird. May just go for a U-turn. Yep, that means it's going to take some Rocky Helmet Chip. That does literally nothing to me. You might see the Coalossal come back in. Can Coalossal do all that much to me? I think it probably does a fair chunk with Heat Crash. That is the Jolteon, of course it's Jolteon. And we're probably going to see a Volt Switch here, so I'm just going to go into my Goodra. It should be able to scout out what set he's running. Like, we are pretty Spadef. It just goes for the Volt Switch to be expected. This is going to do to 169, that's Specs. Volt Switch, that did 14, yeah, that's Specs. I'm going to assume this is, yeah, this is a problem, is what I'm going to say. But at least without him having the, without him having a Digger Speed, this thing is, like, more effectively dealt with by my Skarmory. So we'll see what move he wants to go for. I don't think that Haxorus actually learns anything that should be able to do too much more outside of like close combat. I think that's probably the hardest it can hit me. So he doubles and goes into Jolteon. Good play. And like we can always make the same. Like he can click Volt Switch every turn effectively if he wants to. Do I want to go into? Like, basically what I don't want to happen, if I'm going to go into Vileplume because the load of Ninetales come in, I just don't want the Haxorus to keep coming in. Because at some point, probably is going to just go for a damage, so this goes for the Volt Switch, shouldn't do too much. That's a reasonable chunk actually, probably going to see the Ninetales come in now. And if that's the case, then I probably just want to go for going out into my Carkol. So I should be able to take anything from Ninetales. Yeah, like Blizzard's doing 14%. I don't think there's anything Ninetales even learns. Realistically, it can do much. And we can actually set up a Spike. As the this Coalossal comes back in. How well do we take on this Coalossal? Probably not well at all. I need to get rid of that and Coalossal. Maybe it's got a Heat Crash. I mean, we can take that hit. Can certainly take it. Do I just want to go for a strength sap first? Kinda. Yeah, I'm just going to go for a strength sap first. You get to scout out how much damage this is doing, seeing how invested this thing could potentially be. Let's just go for the Stealth Rock. That's fine by me, because I can now just I can just go for a Leech Seed. Start doing some chip damage to something. Goes into the Mandibuzz, we can strength sap that as well. So it does go into the Mandibuzz. I could also go into Carkol here and just Rapid Spin, get rid of the hazards. That's definitely a possibility because I'm expecting the Roost to come out here. I kind of want to go for that. I don't really want the rocks on my side just because like my team will very easily get chipped away. I could also just go for a Sludge Bomb, but I'm going to go out into my Carkol because I'm expecting a Roost here, and if that's the case, then we at least get the Leech Seed recovery after the rocks. Going to reveal with Eviolite and not Heavy Duty Boots as the Roost does come out. And yeah, I'm just going to take this opportunity to Rapid Spin. So we should get a decent amount of health back from this Mandibuzz. It has a high HP stat. Yeah, that's not bad at all. What can potentially come in here? The Haxorus could come in. Or the Coalossal could come in. I still think just Rapid Spinning is my play. Just going to knock off. That sucks a little bit, but at the same time, I just don't want these rocks on my side of the field. And we are going to get a little bit more chip damage off. And here I think I just want to go for a Fire type move. I think I got Fire Blast on this. I couldn't remember whether I had Fire Blast or Flamethrower. I do have Fire Blast. I'll do this one. Let's set up a Spike. What's he show? Knock off, U-turn, Roost. Potentially just defog as its last move. I'm going to set up a Spike here, as it might go for a U-turn and potentially get burned, which would be great because it could never break my Fire Plume that way. Like, I don't think it can if it's knock off, U-turn, Roost anyway, so yeah, that's kind of nice. And having the Spike up just puts me in a great position. So he is going to switch out, which means I get a pretty free Spike. And in comes the Alolan Sandslash. Okay. Like, no doubt this thing has got Earthquake. So I'm going to just go hard into Skarmory, I think. Do I want to go hard Skarmory? It's kind of predictable. Yeah, I think I still want to go hard Skarmory. So EQs, doesn't touch me. It goes for triple Axle. And then it's going to be taking all the damage. It's probably going to go out. Goes out into, yeah, Jolteon. That's going to be taking a Spike at least. Honestly, I could have stayed in. There, if I was feeling brave, I could have stayed in. But he's just reading me to go into this every turn. And honestly, I'm kind of happy just making the same play. He doesn't really have a whole lot to deal with my Carkol. Even though it's knocked off now, it's still going to be pretty good. Yeah, I'm just going to go back into my Vileplume again. Because any chip damage we can get off on that Ninetales would just be amazing. I'm expecting Ninetales to come in at some point. I'm certainly not expecting... No, he might go back into Mandibuzz just to... just to defog away. Yeah, I think that's what he's going to do here. I could make the aggressive play and just go hard into Weavile. Honestly, I kind of want to do that. I think I've got to start making reads. I think, yeah, I'm going to go hard Weavile. If he U-turns here, then good play. As you've apparently got low battery, that's going to suck if it dies. But it's just defogs. That is fine by me. I definitely don't expect this thing to stay in. I definitely expect the Coalossal to come in. Do I just want to low kick predicting that? I mean, the worst I can do is U-turn against me. I don't think U-turn's going to do much. Wait, is that not? Show him just. Thank you. Reval. Mandy. Yeah, U-turn shouldn't do much at all. Hasn't shown an item, so I'm just going to click triple axle. I think a switch in is almost definitely going to be... Never mind, doesn't switch. Can we get all three? We can. So yeah, Mandeville's goes down. The protective pad's coming in clutch because I think that was Rocky Helmet. So we do give away that we are pads, but at the same time, I'm fine with that. To get rid of the Mandibuzz is yeah, that's ideal for me. It just goes back into Coalossal. I don't want to stay in, obviously. I think I just want to go into... I could go once again into my Keldeo. It puts the most offensive pressure on his team. I think that's what I want to do. I want to go back into Keldeo. I want to try and keep up as much offensive momentum as I can. And his switch-ins to an Aura Sphere now are quite limited. Just going to start Stealth Rock. That's fine by me. I could also U-turn and just flip turn even, keep momentum. That's entirely possible, but realistically nothing wants to take the Aura Sphere here. So I'm just going to click Aura Sphere. As he is going to switch out, maybe into the Haxorus. Sub-Zero, that's the Ninetales. That's certainly fine by me. We're going to be able to scout out what kind of set he's running. Of course, it's Snow Warning. It could be Aurora Veil, which would suck a little bit. This is a 2-hit KO. That's crit. Yeah, I'm sorry, Chase. That's rough. I think it was still a 2-hit KO anyway. But yeah, that effectively means now that his Ninetales is useless. That was a bit hasty. I maybe should have just switched, just in case this thing is Choice Scarf, but I don't think Choice Scarf can OHKO me. I think he might want to try and keep this thing around. If it's Choice Scarf, it's probably going to knock me out from this range. Like, that crit certainly didn't help, but I don't think this lived anyway, and that's like, that's the ideal situation for us. Like, we needed this Ninetales gone. And like, he can't even bring in the Sand Slash now because it'll die to an Aura Sphere unless it's Chople. I think even then it probably dies to this Aura Sphere. He knows that I'm Choice Scarf, so he probably isn't going to want to bring in... yeah, we know this is Specs. How much is my Keldeo doing to Specs Jolteon? Aura Sphere's not doing enough. So... what do I want to go into? Honestly, I can just go into my Carkol here, because it's the least necessary member on my team. And depending on what they want to switch into it, like I can set up a layer of spikes. Like, my hazards are pretty much free at this point. It's just going to Volt Switch. It's going to do a good jump. But I'm kind of happy to let Carkol go down. Like, if he brings in Haxorus, I think I got to switch. Like, I don't think I'm doing enough damage to Haxorus. And Crystal, that is the Sand Slash, cool. Like, I could definitely just save this as a sack. Do I want to do that? I don't... No. Joy-Cons, don't do this to me. I could definitely just go for a Fire Blast. He can pretty much click anything for 3 here. So yeah, I'm just going to click Fire Blast. I don't want it to potentially set up a Swords Dance. I could have gone into Skarmory, but I don't see any reason to preserve this now, and I can actually set up Rocks, which certainly could be helpful against the rest of his team, as it's a Life Orb. Excuse me. Man, this is so annoying. I don't think Life Orb Sand Slash should be able to take me out. And it's so annoying to find it. Earthquake. Why is that to an Bomber Snow? Hello? What's going on? To Keldeo. Yeah, it shouldn't be able to knock me out from this range, even after rocks. Shouldn't be able to. And once again, we get to throw off an Aura Sphere for absolute free. Like, that crit was somewhat big, but I think it was still a 2-hit KO. Like, judging off that damage, I think it was still a 2-hit KO. Don't know if this is Jolly or Adamant. If it's Jolly, I think it outspeeds me. If it's Adamant, it doesn't. Pretty sure... yeah, pretty sure we don't outspeed Jolly. No, we don't. But Jolly will do even less damage to me. Like, realistically, we can just keep spamming Aura Sphere. As he's going to switch. That means that Sound Slash isn't going to have the hail anymore, which is really nice. This is the Haxorus. It's not going to appreciate an Aura Sphere particularly. And I think I just go for it twice, maybe. See how much this does. That is a 2-hit KO. So, yeah, we're going to be able to pick off this Haxorus as well. And I don't think he can actually beat this Keldeo outside of Jolteon. It is first impression. That does a good chunk, but we still live just fine. And that's arguably his biggest threat down. Still got the Jolteon, but now that there's no Haxorus to come in and revenge kill, I feel fairly comfortable going into my Goodra on it. Like, we're in a good position, but we can still lose this game. So, definitely gotta be careful. We want to keep Keldeo around because it still wins late game. The Volt Switch is super obvious right now, but I'm just going to go out into my Goodra, and I should be able to. I take any hit from this. May just go for Thunderbolt, but I think Volt Switch is the most likely. Yep. Taking a little bit of chip. I think it is a what's the Hail Rock? Icy Rock? A load of Ninetales, because this snow has been up for a while. Snow is hail. Come on now. And I think here I could just go into my Skarmory, expecting the Ice type move. This is still a problem for my team. Like, I definitely need to keep my I need to keep my checks to it around, and if we lose Skarmory to this, that's not the end of the world, because he's got Coalossal in the back that's staying around for the Weavile. Like, he's definitely preserving things really nicely on his team. Triple Axe was going to hurt if he goes for it. It's Ice Punch. That shouldn't not do too much. No, it doesn't do much at all. It's going to take Rocky Helmet. It's going to take the Life Orb damage as well. And I kind of want to go for Toxic, expecting a switch out. I could also just go for a Stealth Rock. At the same time, I kind of want to just go for Body Press, expecting Coalossal to come in. I think that's also a perfectly valid play. I think I'm just going to click Roost. Because if he switches out to Coalossal, I'm going to be at full HP. And we can see whether or not Coalossal can actually 2-hit KO me. Like, it struggled to 2-hit KO my struggled to 2-hit KO my Vileplume, so I don't think it's going to be able to 2-hit KO this. And I just want to throw off a Toxic. So we are going to connect, so that's really nice. And we're starting to play towards, like, Weavile endgame. It's just going for Overheat. That's going to hurt. It's going to put us down to sturdy range. That kind of sucks. I don't know whether or not I can take one of those after. Coalossal 50. That's Overheat. It's a roll. It's a roll at -2. Not a roll that I particularly like either. kind of want to go into Gudra, but it's the one thing stopping the... What's Fire Plume doing for me in the rest of this game? It's actually not bad. I could go Gudra. I mean, I could also try and... I think I just want damage on this. Sandslash never wins. So yeah, I'm just going to go for damage on this. As it turns out to be Chople as well, so he managed to burn through that, and he has nothing on his team now that switches into Surf. And I can fairly freely just, like, spam that. He's basically got to sack something off to my Keldeo here. And we still have like 1 or maybe 2 rounds of rocks left to be able to take on our Keldeo, so it should be able to... yeah, I think we've got 2 more lots of rocks that we can take. I'm just going to click Surf. Like, there's nothing switching in on this, so... Coalossal goes down. That's fantastic for me. Now, do I just want damage? I think I just want damage on the Jolteon to put it in range of Ice Shard. I think that's probably what I want to do here. And then just clean up with Ice Shard late game. Right. Let's have a look. Weavile should be able to do a decent chunk, I would have thought, to a Jolteon. Jolteon 35, how much is my Keldeo doing? Potentially not enough. It seems like there's probably going to be a Volt Switch coming out here. But honestly, yeah, I think I just want to damage. Like, Surf should be able to do a good chunk. And if he Volt Switches, then like I get Weavile in for free anyway. Like, this should do a good amount. Okay, that looks to be around range for Weavile. Like 35 to 41, I would have thought I can do that much. And then I should be able to knock out the Sandslash with Low Kick. Like, we've seen this Life Orb, so unless it gets some move that I'm entirely forgetting about, this should be Weavile just cleaning up the game. We are going to take the rocks, but yeah, that's fine. Low Kick. And yeah, we should outspeed, this should kill. Fantastic. And now I think we just Ice Shard the Jolteon. If it doesn't die, then Gudra comes in and finishes it off. So yeah, I think we pick up a win here. I think it's what, a 3-0? It's 2 3-0s back to back if we do pick up the KO here on Jolteon. Which we definitely should do with Ice Shard. Like, there's like 35 to 41. Unless it's got some defense investment, there's absolutely no reason why it shouldn't die to this Ice Shard, but weirder things have happened. Like, I've got 2 mons in the back to deal with this Jolteon, so if it doesn't die, it is what it is. But Keldeo put in the absolute finest of work. As soon as his Mana Buzz went down, I think that was like his biggest misplay, was just letting that go down, as it does die to the Ice Shard, and we are going to pick up the 3-0 win. Good game to chase. I'm sorry for that crit, but I don't think it actually mattered. Obviously meant that you couldn't bring it back in and really do anything with it. But it certainly was going to be 2-hit KO'd regardless. And yeah, basically Keldeo just put on a ton of pressure. Like, he didn't bring his Tangrowth, which I'm shocked about, because that was like his best check, in my opinion, to that Keldeo. I know I could have Air Slash, but yeah, we end up not having Air Slash at Icy Wind, which definitely wouldn't have 2-hit KO'd an AV variant. But he wants to know that. He doesn't know what set I was going to be running. Low battery again. We managed to make it through the game. No problem. No disconnects as well. So yeah, once again, good game to chase. He's a great guy, definitely somebody that I've been following for a long time. Greatly respect him as a content creator and as a battler. And we moved to 5-5 minus 4, minus 5, somewhere around there. I think it might be -4. So we are clawing this back. A win next week would be really, really nice for us. It gives us a very good chance of making playoffs. But we'll have to see. We're going up against Steve, aka Magnitude, another person that I greatly respect in the community. But with that out of the way, if you did enjoy the battle, then please do leave a like and subscribe just for the rest of the season. We've only got a couple of games left, but there's a potential we make playoffs, so make sure to subscribe for that. And until next one, have a great day, guys.